Hello, Tom. Morning.
Catherine.
How are you? Your badge is on upside down.
Good. Oh, thank you. Sorry. We've been
Sick.
dishevelled today.
Right, Tom.
Yes.
Today we're going to have a coaching conversation about the qualification process.
Okay.
Okay? I feel like you get through the sales process great, but fly by the qualification process, and in my opinion, it's the most important part of the process. How do you feel about that?
I think you might be right, because I do sometimes get a wee bit sort of maybe excited or brush over it. You know, a customer comes in and I might just go straight for a test drive or straight into the middle of the process. And I don't really sit them down, find out what their needs are, find out really what they're in and what they're properly here for. Also, sometimes whenever it comes to finance and things like that, as you know, sometimes we don't always be hitting the right places because I haven't figured it out right at the start.
Hitting the right hot spots.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So why do you think that you don't get to the qualification process? What stops you? You know, is it the customer wants to talk in the middle of the showroom, or what is it?
I think I let the customer maybe at the start lead the conversation to an extent, and whenever they say that they want to go for a test drive, I don't really know when to say, right, it's time to sit down. We need to really have a discussion about your needs before we go on and rush into that. And I think maybe that's where I'm lacking. And as you say, sometimes it does happen in the middle of the showroom floor, which isn't the place to have that sort of conversation.
Okay. And how do you think that you could get past that? What do you think your first port of call should be when you meet any customer? Because you're great at the meet.
Yeah, the meet and greet. I think really I should get out my customer inquiry form and sit down and maybe take it a wee bit slower and actually break it all down into steps rather than just barging through things.
And do you understand why the qualification? Do you think that the qualification process, the asking the customer open questions, finding out more about them, having a heart-to-heart with them, do you realise how much that could benefit you?
Yes, because I have found myself at times maybe having spent a lot of time with a customer, dealing with them on a particular vehicle or going down a particular route, only to find that that's not going to work, either financially or maybe the vehicle doesn't meet their specific needs. So I do see how that would benefit with not only saving my time but also making a customer have a better experience overall.
Yeah. Can you remember a time when that happened without using names?
One or two, yes.
And explain how it went. Like, explain how you think how it went and how you think it could have went better, or what you could have done differently to get a better outcome.
Well, for example, like very recently we had a customer in and proceeded through the process, and we sat down after a test drive, after them falling in love with the vehicle, and sat down, and the figures were, I think if I can remember right, were maybe £150 out per month, which is an awfully big gap that's never going, it's too far out, and their trade-in price and all, and really the way that left was they got up and they said that it wasn't for them, so there was no further sales opportunity. But I think maybe if the qualification had been right and we had have discussed their needs before pushing on into things, we could have maybe prevented that and got a sale. And even if we hadn't, it would have meant that we wouldn't have wasted maybe an hour and a half and no outcome.
And what could you have done? What do you think you should have done differently?
Probably should have discussed their financial needs along with their needs for the vehicle before test driving, before selling them really on all the features and the parts of the vehicle that they like.
And that gives you a better opportunity and gives them a better experience
It does.
also. Okay.
Mhm.
So, that being said, what changes do you intend to make in future?
Well, I think I need to make a change with actually getting out my form, and as soon as the customer comes in, sit them down, offer them their tea and coffee, and work through.
It's important to warm their hands.
Warm their hands is right. So nice to maybe work through the process a lot slower.
Yeah.
Take it bit by bit and maybe build up an idea. Whether that be through get an idea for myself with quotes and all prior to actually test driving and explaining the benefits and carrying out the rest of the sales process, because then it would mean that we're avoiding situations like that.
Avoiding disappointment of the customer.
Yeah.
Because you've got to think about the business needs as much as the customer needs and your own needs. But in the sales process, the qualification step is pretty much very close to the top.
Yes.
And that's where it should stay. Because the bigger the heart-to-heart you have with the customer, the more information you're going to get, you're going to build trust. And it's just taking the right steps, which we know you can do.
Yeah. I've done it before.
You've done it before. Okay, so in future, what would you like to see happening?
I'd like to see more sort of inquiries turning into sales.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see customers maybe having a more easy time and less stress and less sort of people being up to high low. I'd rather us be able to go through it and know what the customer's expectations are before getting to that stage.
What obstacles do you think, what do you think stops you doing that now?
I think the fact that whenever a customer comes in and they're interested in the vehicle, I'm letting them take lead on the actual process instead of me going through the process bit by bit. I think that's probably the biggest obstacle, maybe lacking in confidence maybe slightly. I know that's hard to believe.
Loads of that.
Loads of it, but if I can maybe use it in the right place and maybe take a wee bit of a break away from the customer and from the actual sale, take a step back, have a look at how it's went, and then re-enter from a better point.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You're measuring what you're doing and you're making changes where necessary, which is always brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So the goal is to
qualify my customers.
Why?
Because it's an important part of the sales process and it will help lead to more sales and a better time for the customer, the business and the brand.
Okay, perfect. And the reality of the current situation is
we're not
having a heart-to-heart.
Having a heart-to-heart.
And the obstacles we talked about just now, just slow down. And the way forward for you is
to take a break, take a step back, measure how far I've came, what we need to do to proceed further, and to just calm down, I think is important.
Okay. You happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So we might meet them once a week for a period of time.
Yes.
Till we measure how it's going and help each other along the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Perfect.
Catherine.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Tom.
Thank you.
You can send the next one in.